The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. I did something similar yesterday. I hate to be that guy. I will admit, I feel like I'm being one of those people on social media. As soon as somebody gets released, they at me, hey, Louie T, what do you think? I feel like I'm being that guy right now. I feel like I'm being obnoxious, but I do think this is a conversation that warrants being had. That's the only reason I bring it to your doorstep. I told you that before many, many times. I would never bring something to your doorstep if I felt like it wasn't relevant. Yesterday, Gabe Davis was released. I said, hey, are you interested? Clearly, the team is looking for a big body wide receiver, hence the UDFA additions that they've made. We'll talk about those a little bit more in depth tonight. UDFA video breakdown. All 10 UDFA signees will be on display tonight, and we'll talk about those guys, what they bring to the table, and do they have a realistic shot at making the roster or at least cracking the 16-man practice squad roster. So Jadeveon Clowney was released today, and this is what we talked about, the post-draft free agency. There's another free agency period after the draft. Now, it's not as expansive, obviously, as the one that takes place at the start of the new league year. However, you're going to see teams as they have their rookie mini camps, as they get their first look at some of the guys that they drafted, some of the undrafted guys, when they get these rookie minis and they get to lay eyes on these guys and see them move around athletically, they can say to themselves, hey, we got a guy here. This is why you don't see them release players right after the draft. First, I need to see them, lay hands on them, and understand how their movement skills are, what kind of a person they are, and get a sense of, okay, yes, this is a guy that can come in here and have an impact immediately. We can move on from said veteran, right? So we've seen the Jaguars do that. Now you're seeing the Panthers do it with Jadeveon Clowney. They signed him to a multi-year deal last year, and they cut him after 1 year. And so I'm just asking, all right? We know the edge rusher position has been a source of discussion within the fan base as to what they're going to do. I still believe there's going to be one more move made. I don't think you're going to have a great selection of veterans. I think this is it. This group that we're going to talk about today, this is the group you're pulling from. Now, again, patience is a virtue. There may be another veteran that shakes free, but I can't imagine another veteran being better than the ones we're going to talk about today, two of them in particular. So with that said, let's go to the drawing board. Let's go to the tail of the tape, and let's talk about these guys and see which one of them you would prefer. All right. So for me, I've made it abundantly clear what I would do, but still, I want to bring all of the evidence to you and let you make a decision. Leave it down in the comment section. So this first bio you're looking at statistically belongs to that of Jadeveon Clowney, the former first-round pick of the Houston Texans out of South Carolina. Jadeveon Clowney is 32 years old, right? And he will remain 32 throughout the entire season. So last year in Carolina, his first year, remember, this guy is a mercenary. He's an edge for hire. This is what he's been. Look at how many teams he's been on in his career. Rarely does he play for the same team 2 years in a row. Last year, I wanted Jadeveon Clowney, right? Before he signed with Carolina, I wanted Jadeveon. Why? Because all we're doing are one-year deals. He's the king of the one-year deal. No one knows how to go into a situation as the new kid on the block, blend in, get the job done, and get the hell out like Jadeveon Clowney. As you can see, spent the first 5 years of his career in Houston. Then he started bouncing around. All right, Seattle, Tennessee, 2 years in Cleveland. That's a big thing for him. He doesn't do attachments, right? He's a one-hitter quitter, right? 2 years in Cleveland. Oh, shit. 1 year in Baltimore. Killed it, right? Resurgence of his career, which got him a multi-year deal with Carolina. He wanted to go back home. He's from Rock Hill, South Carolina. So this felt like the right move for him towards the end of his career. He goes there. Solid season last year. So but they released him, right? So let's talk about Clowney. Never had double-digit sacks in his career, so don't look for it. But he did have 9.5 with Baltimore just 2 years ago. So anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. But last year, 5.5 sacks. The thing for me with Clowney always is this first number, GP, games played, 14 in Carolina. Now, I believe when we played them, he either didn't play or he was banged up and played, but he wasn't very effective. So that's the thing with Jadeveon Clowney is what are you signing up? Baltimore was a aberration. Like, he doesn't play all 17 games. He did in Baltimore, which is how he produced the 9.5 sacks in that season, which again is a career high for him, matching his 2017 total in Houston. So this is something that with Clowney, it's hit or miss. He's very versatile, right? They are looking for guys that they can move around that defensive line, play edge, play interior, kick inside, play 3-tech. That's Jadeveon Clowney, right? Well, 2 of the 3 guys, that's what they do. They move around. They can be a chess piece, very versatile. And again, stout against the run is Jadeveon Clowney, right? So played in 14 games last season, 5.5 sacks. Was very solid. 5.5 sacks is respectable, right? For a veteran that's north of 30 years old. But the 2023 season with Baltimore is what you're chasing after. It may be a ghost. It may be a ghost, but that's what you're chasing after if you're interested in Jadeveon Clowney. You want the 2023 Baltimore Raven version of Jadeveon Clowney. You get that. That is a difference-making Jadeveon Clowney. 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery. This guy was all over the field, 4.5 tackles for loss. So again, you see what he could potentially be. He had 7.5 tackles for loss last season, despite not getting to the quarterback as often as he did in Baltimore. So Jadeveon Clowney, very good against the run, solid against the pass. That's Exhibit A. We move on to Exhibit B, and you are now looking at the statistical bio of one Za'Darius Smith. This is the guy, and I'm going to be honest with you and upfront and forthcoming, transparency fully on display. This is my guy. This is my guy. This is who I would go with. I have no problems with Jadeveon Clowney. If you want Clowney, I'm down with Clowney. I wanted Clowney last year. So I'm down with Clowney. I'm down with Za'Darius Smith. I want no parts of Von Miller, but to be fair, we have to present all cases here to be fully transparent. So Za'Darius Smith is 32 years old. He will be 33 years old at the start of the season. His birthday hits in September, excuse me. So he will be 33 basically the entire season. So Clowney's 32. Za'Darius Smith will be 33 this season. And here's what you're looking at. 4 years in Baltimore, obviously drafted by the Ravens. Not a first-round pick like Clowney, so the pedigree isn't quite there, but his career has been phenomenal. And if we just go back for a second, right? 58 career sacks for Jadeveon Clowney. 69 career sacks for Za'Darius Smith. And as you can see right here in the middle of his career, the best of Za'Darius Smith happened in Green Bay, right? Where he just took off and became a household name in this league. He was solid in Baltimore, right? 8.5 sacks, got him the deal in Green Bay. And then he took off. It's sort of like how Preston Smith was with us, right? He was solid with us, never really had that last year. I think he has like 7.5 sacks. They didn't re-sign him. Jay Gruden was pissed. He went to Green Bay the same year, I believe, that Za'Darius Smith went, and they became the Smith brothers in Green Bay. Both of them had double-digit sacks. I think it was 2020, right? And they were phenomenal. But Za'Darius Smith has continued to be really solid, right? Outside of the 2021 season where he sustained an injury, as you can see, and missed the entire year, came back the next year in Minnesota, 10 sacks. He was awesome for the Vikings. That netted him, because it was a 1-year deal coming off of an injury, that netted him a 3-year contract, I believe it was, with the 2-year deal, with the Cleveland Browns. He goes to Cleveland, 5.5 sacks, solid season, right? Then he goes the next year, and he's a trade candidate, right? At the trade deadline, we were talking about Za'Darius Smith all trade deadline. We were looking at edge rushers. We weren't looking at corners. We were looking at edge rushers. He was one of the guys that we were saying, hey, we would love to add Za'Darius Smith. We knew he was available. He ended up getting traded to Detroit. He had 5 sacks at the time of his departure from Cleveland. He went to Detroit and added another 4. He had 9 sacks last season. Okay, so he's coming off of a 9-sack season, 5 with one club, 4 with another. So again, and he played all 17 games last season, did Za'Darius Smith. The year before, he played 16. The year before that, he played 16. So you're getting a guy that is very consistent in terms of his availability. So, and another guy that's very versatile, can play up and down the defensive line, right? Can play edge, can stand up like Clowney can also kick inside and reduce to a 3-tech, right? You can move this guy all around the defensive line, and he's stout against the run. Once again, not as stout as Jadeveon Clowney is, but he's stout against the run nonetheless. So here's another option that is available to the Commanders should they decide to go the free agent route at edge rusher if they're not satisfied. And I think they're going to slow play this. I don't expect them to react quickly. And look, if they wait, that's the chance you take. Somebody may say, you know what, let's snatch Clowney up right now, or let's snatch Za'Darius Smith up. No one has done it because I don't think it's going to happen until you get closer to camp, right? So I think they're going to wait because they want to see if somebody else shakes free, right? Like, just let's just hold our horses. Let's just see the entire picture for what it's going to be, and then we'll make a move. And if we miss out on one of these guys, we do, right? We like all of the options that are available to us. And so one of them will be available. That's probably their thought process. Or they just may say, you know what? We like what we have. We're cool. They lay hands on these guys at these mini camps, right? And they look at what they have and they say, you know what? We're cool with the veterans we've acquired. We think that some of these guys are going to take a step forward, and we're not going to do anything. I wouldn't do that if I were them. And personally, I wouldn't do that if I were them. I'd add one more guy, but this is the guy for me. But again, I'm good with him or Clowney. So that's Za'Darius Smith and his profile. And then lastly, we got the old wily KG veteran. So full disclosure, this man was born in the 80s. Okay. This man was born in the 80s. Unlike another guy that is on our team that was born in the 80s, I'm not okay with this one being added to the roster. Okay. Von Miller is 36 years old. Okay. I'm good on Von Miller personally. He's not the Von Miller he once was, but if you're talking about a guy that maybe at this point of his career still capable of being a hired mercenary, maybe I just look at this situation like this. If he couldn't do it in Buffalo, what makes you think he's going to do it here? That's just the thing that I say to myself. Like, Buffalo is a lot like us in the sense that they got an elite quarterback. They have an elite offense. Most games they're up big or at least ahead. And that should really play into Von Miller being able to pile the numbers up. 6 is a respectable number, right? We just talked about Clowney having 5.5 last year, but the Bills have a more talented defense. And just think about it from this perspective. How often was Carolina ahead in games, right? Just think about it from that perspective. How often were the Panthers ahead for Clowney to pin his ears back, know it's a pass, and go get the quarterback? Now, ask yourself, how often was Buffalo ahead in football games, knowing that the opposition was going to throw the football and giving Von Miller an opportunity to just say, I know I got the green light to go get the quarterback. I don't have to worry about a run. It's a big difference, right? So Clowney's 5.5 carries a little bit more weight to me than Von Miller's 6 in an offense that scores 30 a game with a quarterback like Josh Allen, where they're probably ahead most fourth quarters where you could just say, hey, go get the quarterback. That said, Von Miller did produce 6 sacks last year. Now, my problem with Von Miller outside of his age at this point is he's also not durable at this point of his career. Now, 13 games is nothing to spit at, okay, for a 35-year-old Von Miller. 13 games is nothing to spit at. But you got 12 the year before that, 12 the year before that, 8 the year before that, well, 15 the year before that. That's the Super Bowl year. split between Denver and the Rams. I think that was the last season that I really thought Von Miller was a true difference maker. His first year in Buffalo, 8 sacks. It didn't feel as impactful, however. It did early on. I will say that early on, it felt like he was closing out every game. And then as the season wore on, it felt like Father Time started tapping him on the shoulder. Then he had the crazy sort of like not torn ACL, but it's or Achilles, but it's like really strained. Don't want to push it because you might tear it. So he kind of missed a lot of time in 2023. And then you get 2024, 6 sacks, solid season. But again, not really like blown away by Von Miller at this point of his career. But again, 129 and a half sacks at this point of his career, and a future Hall of Famer, as we know. He's definitely a difference-making player. I just don't know how much difference-making he has left in the tank. And also, Von Miller, not going to help you against the run as much. But again, and not a lot of versatility. Again, he's just an edge, right? Just a guy you stand up outside and say, hey, go hunt the quarterback. Again, to each its own. And if they decided to go with Von Miller, I'd be cool with it. Not my choice, not my first choice, not my second choice. Now with Clowney being released, he's not my second choice. He's my third choice, you know? So he's my last resort. This is my last resort. This is my last resort right here, Von Miller. So I ask you, what says you? Who you going with? Leave it down in the comment section. All right. Take a couple of comments and then we'll get out of here. Lorenzo Simpson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Clowney can rush and defend the run. Sign me up. I wanted him last year for that exact reason. He's a one-year hired mercenary. It's what he does. So he's very comfortable coming into a locker room, meeting the guys, and just assimilating himself. Like he's a chameleon because he's had to be, because this is what his life in the NFL has been, right? So I have no doubts that if we signed him next month or the month after that, right before camp, he'd show up, he'd fit right in, and he'd be productive for this team. And like you said, he stops the run, right? Because what we don't want to do is trade the ability to get to the quarterback for stopping the run. Right? Like Jacob Martin, he ain't stopping the run. He's more along the lines of Dante Fowler Jr. He'll come in here and he'll try to get to the quarterback, but he's going to be light in the pants, and he's a guy that isn't going to be physically setting an edge, right? He's solid, but again, you can run the football with Jacob Martin. I think you really want Jacob Martin in on 3rd and 7, right? You really don't want Jacob Martin in the game on 2nd and 8, right? And they decide to run the football. So, Clowney is a guy you can keep in all 3 downs. Same with Za'Darius Smith. So I'm with you on that. Trevor Patch, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, no young pup for Von Miller to mentor pass. I'm with you on that one. If we had a young guy that we took this year, I might be more receptive to Von Miller coming in here and saying, let me show you the ropes, young fella. Let me show you how to get to the quarterback consistently. Let me show you how to take care of your body, et cetera, et cetera. But like you said, we didn't draft one. I mean, who's he going to show? Javonte John Baptiste? Like, what are we doing, right? Maybe he can mentor Jacob at this point of his career, right? I doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, who knows? We didn't expect, 11 sacks last year from Dante Fowler Jr. So maybe he could mentor Jacob Martin and, give him that extra, push, or put a battery in his back. And all of a sudden, Jacob Martin's getting us 9.5 sacks this year. He says, Clowney isn't more of a dog than what we got, nor a locker room builder. I mean, I get that. I mean, I don't think he's a locker room destroyer either. I don't think he's a bad guy. I didn't hear one Ravens player say, Jadeveon Clowney was a bad teammate. I think he's a good dude. I think he gets a bad rap because he just doesn't stay anywhere very long, right? He says, pass. I'll take a chance on Smith. I'm a Za'Darius Smith guy, though. You know how I feel. But again, I wouldn't mind Clowney. Either one of those guys would make my heart smile, personally. But Za'Darius Smith is number 1 for me. Clowney is 2. And Von Miller is a very distant 3. I really would prefer not to sign Von Miller at all, personally. But if you gave me a choice between do nothing and Von Miller, okay, you got me. Sign me up for some Von Miller, some 36-year-old Von Miller. I don't want 36-year-old Von Miller on this team, though, personally. But I'd rather do that than nothing. But if they do nothing, I'll have to be fine with it. I'll have to be fine with it. So, again, tell me what you think. Leave it down in the comment section. Not I'll take Casey Toohill over Von Miller. Come on, Mike. Come on, Mike. Oh, man. You guys are crazy. Mr. HTTR been a member for 28 months. Appreciate you, who writes, I like Clowney, solid run stopper, decent pass rusher. And I think most of us at this point, after last year's debacle against the run, I think we're at the point now where we're not willing to trade pass rushing for stopping the run. Like, you better be able to do both. Even if it comes with less pass rushing, if you could get to the quarterback a little bit and stop the run, you're down for the cause. If you tell me we getting a guy that can get you, 10 sacks, but he might be a liability against the run, y'all are looking like, I don't know if I want to do that again. So I would have signed up for Dante Fowler Jr. again, by the way. So I would sign up for a guy that could get us 10. If you told me I got a guy that can get you 10, he might be a liability. Hey, how much of a liability we talking? How much of a liability we talking? Because Dante Fowler Jr. had some big stops on 4th down last year while you bullshitting against the run. He drew some holding penalties against the run. So how much of a liability we talking? But anyway, I digress. You guys know what it is. Leave it down in the comment section. What do you think? This is what's left. Like, I don't know what you guys are looking for, but this is what's left. It wasn't a great class of edge rushers in terms of free agency to begin with. And then in the draft, if you wanted one, you had to be aggressive early. We weren't. There were certain ones they were looking for. I don't have any issues with what they did. They went and got a tackle. They went and got a corner, which you see after another trade of another big-time receiver into the division. They did the right thing by going and getting the corner. And after that, you didn't have a 3rd-round pick, which is where it would have been the sweet spot to find a way to get one. By the time you were on the clock in the 4th round, there was one guy left, and the Chargers took him 3 picks before we made our selection. So there you have it. You don't end up with an edge rusher. And I wasn't looking to just pick a guy for the sake of picking a guy. I wasn't looking to do that. So worst case scenario, you better hope we better hope Javonte John Baptiste takes a massive leap. We've been talking about all these players taking a huge leap. We never bring up Javonte John Baptiste, ever bring him up. He's an afterthought, if a thought at all. Maybe we need to be talking more about him taking a 2nd-year leap as well. He did get drafted last year after all. Anyway, I digress. You guys get out of here. I will see you guys later on tonight for our breakdown of the 10-player UDFA class, if you want to call them that. The signees that are currently at Rookie Minis as we speak. And so we will take a look at each of those players, what they bring to the table, and how realistic is it that they can either crack the 53-man roster or at a bare minimum be a part of this team's practice squad this year. So with that said, you guys get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get outside. It's a nice day. Touch grass. It may be thunderstorming later, so take advantage of it now while you got a shot, and then we'll chop it up a little bit later on. Until then, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. You guys have a good one. Leave it down in the comment section. Hey, this is probably the best of the best that you're going to have a chance at this offseason. With what's left post-draft, pick one. Or maybe you say, just wait. Maybe somebody else will shake free. Pick one. It's probably going to be as good as it gets. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.